Hello, everybody. I'm bringing you your Wednesday devotional for today. I hope you're enjoying the little bit of sunshine that we're getting and some of the warmer weather that we've been having. I know it's been really nice for us to get outside because if you're anything like me, for every day that you spend in quarantine, the walls of your house just move in another inch. So it's been really nice to get outside and enjoy the weather. And I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you again soon and really missing you. Thinking about what I wanted to bring to you today, I've been reading a lot in Proverbs, and in Proverbs they talk a lot about wisdom, which I feel like is such a relevant thing right now. There's such an outcry for wisdom, for knowledge and truth. People just really want to know and have an understanding of the world right now. And I think that we should passionately pursue wisdom and knowledge, and Proverbs tells us that. As I continued to read, I really started to think more, though, about the attitude of our hearts as we pursue wisdom and truth, and about guarding our hearts. And my main concern is that even for Christians, even for believers, in times when things are uncertain and it's hard to understand what's going on, we can sometimes go getting back into an orphan mindset where we start to rely more on ourselves and lean on our own understanding instead of looking to the Lord, because the times are scary and it's appealing to our flesh to make sense of everything, so that way at least we can feel like we have some form or sense of control over what's going on. Just make sense of it already. And I kind of liken that to going back to Egypt. Instead of following God into things that are uncertain and just trusting His leadership, going back to Egypt looks more like relying on our own understanding. And because then at least we know what's going on and we can feel that sense of control. So one of the scriptures that I want to focus on is Proverbs chapter 4, verses 23 through 27. It says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Keep your mouth free of perversity. Keep corrupt talk far from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or the left. Keep your foot from evil." Our hearts really determine our trajectory. The attitude of our heart determines our aim and where we're going to end up. And that's why it's so important to guard our hearts. Because if we do start to get into that self-reliant orphan mindset, that can really take us places that make us cynical and make us self-righteous. And we can eventually, when we get in that attitude, start to lose our hope. If we just look around and see that everything is bad and terrible, we can start to lose our hope, and our love can grow cold because of that increase in wickedness. I think it's important that we start from a place of surrendering our hearts, our thoughts, our feelings, all of our ideas to the Lord, and seeking wisdom for His glory and not for our own. And that way He's going to take us where He wants us to be. And in that we can be sure that when we get there, He will be there also. It's kind of like getting an alignment for your car. You know how when your alignment is off, it's constantly pulling you to one side or the other, when all you want to do is just drive straight down the road. And if you don't get it fixed, if you don't correct it, eventually you end up off in the weeds. And that is not where we want to go. We don't want to end up off in the weeds. And I understand that there is deception in the world, and that's completely valid, and we should guard ourselves against it. But I also think that spending so much time dwelling on everything that's wrong and dwelling on wickedness, over time it can harden our hearts if we lose sight of the kingdom and we don't have our eyes fixed on Jesus. And especially if we get into being just concerned with being right, I think that really hardens our hearts, and we lose our ability to have compassion for other people like Jesus did when He looked at the people and He saw them as sheep without a shepherd. And what's the point in that? There's no prophet and just being right about something if by the time you get there, you just have this heart of stone. So I think it's important to keep in mind that we should be guarding our hearts and not be so distracted by the deception from without that we miss possible deception from within that we're letting in. We have to guard our hearts. We have to keep them tender and surrendered to the Lord and focused on the kingdom, remembering that we're sojourners here on earth. We're in exile, and our kingdom and our country is in heaven. It takes me a little bit back to Eve in the garden, and we read all about the deception from without, which was the serpent lying to her. But there also had to be some deception within for her to take that bait and to accept that, for her to choose to elevate herself above God and to look to herself for those answers, to look to herself to know better, and say, well, you're not going to hold out on me. I'm going to figure this out on my own. Instead of just following the leadership of the Lord and just trusting Him in what He said and where He wanted her to go and where He wanted her to be. So, in summation, I just want to say, keep yourselves in humble submission to the Lord every day. We can trust Him to lead us and take us wherever it is He wants us to go. And know that God gives generously to those who ask Him for wisdom. And that when you trust Him and when you walk with Him, He is going to make your path straight. He is going to protect you and lead you. So, take care, guys. I really miss you. I look forward to seeing you again. Don't forget to join us for the live stream on Sunday at 11. Have a great day.